Welcome back to Maximum Leverage. And well, in this lesson, what I'd like to do is do something that I've never seen anyone else do before, but I think you'll get a lot out of it. Because what I'd like to do right now with you is take you on a little field trip around the internet and show you exactly what I did to build my first team from absolute scratch, a guy with no name, to these days it continuing to grow and being over 8,500 people. So hopefully what you're going to see is none of this stuff is magic. All it is trying a few things, and the things that work, you do them again. So right here where you can see we are is we're at Google, and this is where our story begins. Because after I left my first not so successful home-based business opportunity, the one where I bought a bunch of leads, called a bunch of them, got a lot of credit card debt, all that sort of good stuff, and quit, I was left without really knowing where the heck I was going to go next. And what happened was one day I was on Google, just like we're on Google right now, and I did a Google search, and I found a forum. Now, I don't remember exactly what forum that was, but let's go to one so we can kind of recreate the scenario. So let's choose this forum. It's not a good one. We can't get in there quickly enough. Let's go to another one. Yeah, that's the ticket. Okay, so after I'd been in a business that wasn't so successful, I was out there searching the internet. I was learning a little bit more about marketing, and I happened across a forum that looked a lot like this. I was in a section probably about money making, just like this, and I was reading someone's post, which was probably just like whatever this post is. And you see how some people here have a little signature file? Well, one person made a comment in this forum that I was in, just like this one, and I decided to click on the link in his little signature file. The website that I came across was this website. Now, I'm not showing you this particular home business by any means to say, this is a business you should join. This is the business that changed my life. Please don't join. Please don't go there. I'm not recruiting actively right now, but this is exactly the website that I found. I saw a website, a lead capture page. It looked not like this. It actually looked quite a bit different back in June of 2005 is when it really happened. I decided to opt in, and I got to a page that looked like, if I remember correctly, this business is called Success University. Matt Morris is a good guy. But I got to a page that looked just like this. And I read through it, and it was a $2 trial, I believe, at that time. And everything looked great. It looked like the type of a marketing system I wanted to have. And I just decided to enroll. I never spoke to this guy I found in a forum like this. In fact, the guy lived in Malaysia. And I decided to sign up, got involved in this particular business. And I didn't know what the heck to do. I was like, well, now I'm in this business, and I have to get started from scratch. I don't really have a sponsor, and the one I have is on the other side of the world, so I'm kind of doing this thing on my own. And I just start to think of what sort of things can I do to promote this opportunity. And what happened was I happened across another forum. And that forum, I do remember. It was this forum right here. It's called the Warrior Forum. It's one of the largest internet marketing forums out there. And I was browsing through the sections, and specifically I was in this section right here. And this is a section in this particular forum where people give out different offers to things that they're going to give. And one of these posts was from a guy who was offering an ad in his newsletter. I think he had a list of about 8,000 people that he hadn't emailed in a while. So he was giving people the opportunity to place an ad to those people on that prospect list for $60. I said, well, what the heck? And I gave the guy $60. I didn't even really have an ad. All I did was I looked around on the internet for ads from other people in the particular opportunity that I chose. And I basically just copied it and used it. I remember I went to work that day, not thinking much of it. I knew the ad was going to go out. And I came home that day and looked at my email, and I had 8 people that had joined the business while I was off at work. And I sat there and I just laughed. I was like, well, there I was for 6 months out there calling leads, getting rejected day in and day out and day in and day out. And here I am. I find a little business from some forum, some guy in Malaysia, and I find my way into another forum, find a person that's offering advertising at a reasonable rate. I place an ad. I get home from work and there's 8 people there. Man, that was one of the most exciting days of my life. So call me stupid. Here's what I did next. The next thing that I did, footnote actually before I tell you the next thing that I did, is the footnote is some of the people that came from that very first little ad I placed are still leaders in my team. In fact, some of those people ended up bringing in hundreds of people themselves, which is really cool to see. And that's one of the ways that my business got started, just with a simple little newsletter ad. I, to this day, think that's one of the most powerful ways to advertise your business if you do it right. So call me stupid. Here's what I did next. I went right back to the guy that I placed the first ad with, and I said, hey, can I do that again? I gave him another $60 or so, and he let me place another ad. I think this was with another group of prospects. This time I went away to work, came home, and there were, I believe, 18 people that joined the business. So here I was with this fledgling little team and this opportunity, and I started to see that, oh man, this can actually work. This can actually be something that gets me out of my job. So, but I've got a new problem, right? Now I've got these people that are involved in the business with me, and they look up to me. They want to know what I'm doing. They want to know how to go out and promote their business just like I'm promoting. And so what I did next was, and this is pretty cool to see, is I started this exact blog that we're looking at right now. It was called turnkeyinternetbusiness.blogspot.com. In fact, if you go back and you looked at this blog, this is what it still looks like. It's still out there. And you can see what I was doing was I was basically back on July 14th of 2005, welcoming people into the team and giving congratulations to people who were out there doing big stuff in the business. I think I joined this business on June 30th of that year, if memory serves me right. And you can see here what I'm doing is I'm introducing the new members, Ivy Hicks, Warren Francham, down the line. And actually, some of these people are still great friends with me. And so I started to just blog, and everything that I did in the business, my passion, my excitement about this opportunity that could change all of our lives, I just put on this blog. Everything I was doing in marketing at the point, I put on this blog. You can even see I was so crazy. I put my old phone number on here, and this was the old URL I used to use to promote my business. So anybody came to the blog and they were wondering what my link was, that was it. It's not that anymore. So I started to create this sort of team unity on this blog. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just kind of reaching for things to do. So what did I do next? The next thing I did, since I had a team, was call me stupid again. Since the newsletter ad that I had placed from someone over here in the Warrior Forum worked, I said, well, heck, where else can I find places to do more of these newsletter ads? And I happened across a site called the Directory of E-Signs. And I bought myself a membership. At the very beginning, every dollar I made in my business, I put right back into the business. You better believe it. And I got myself a membership here. And I'm not promoting this site or anything, but I do recommend it to people very often because I think it's great if you want to do newsletter advertising. It makes it incredibly simple to find newsletters to place ads in, to get in touch with the publishers. And I just went through here, and with my budget, I think it was about $300 at that time. I went through here and I placed a few newsletter ads. The next thing that I did was I went over to Google and I started a little Google AdWords account right here. And I did it the crazy way back then. Every home business keyword that I could think of, I loaded into one ad group and had one little ad and put it out there. The very first day I did that Google ad, I believe I got 8 leads and one person joined the business. I don't remember the exact dollar amount it cost me to get that one person to join the business, but I think it was something like $8 to $10. So I said Google AdWords works, and I kept doing it. On the blog, I probably told the team what I was doing, told them some of the keywords that were working for me so that they could do the same thing. The other thing that I learned that worked was article marketing. So I went over to this site called eZine Articles, and I started submitting articles. I just would write. I didn't know much at the time. So what I would do is I would go to the bookstore. I would pick up books about starting a home-based business, and I would just pick and choose topics and write things and submit them to this site. And so let's actually go here to the expert author page. I think at this point, I'm not actually on the first page, but I've submitted a significant amount of articles. I think it's somewhere around 700. Let's see if we can find me on here. There I am, 767 articles. So it all started with me submitting articles way, way, way back when to attract more people to my home business. And a few years later, it turned into 50, 60, 70. And over the years, it's turned into 767 in this particular article directory. And then I also started submitting articles to other article directories. My team, everything I did, I told my team what I was doing, and they went out and did the same thing, and they started duplicating, and they started having success themselves. So what happened next? What happened next was, I remember, again, still at work, I would place these ads, write these articles either on the weekend, early in the morning. I would get up at 5 a.m. and work on my business until about 8:30 a.m., take a shower, put on my suit, go to work. And that was like my schedule for about a year or so. And I would just work my business around whatever time I had. So I was submitting articles. I had my pay-per-click advertising going. When I had the money, I was placing ads in newsletters using things like the directory of eZines. But as I was driving around this day, I had this thought. Why not start a co-op? I believe at this point we probably had about 100 or so people, maybe a few more. And I said, well, if I'm out here doing this stuff, I'm excited. Maybe, and this is what really drove it. I was in the directory of eZines, and there were some newsletters that I really wanted to place an ad in, but I didn't have the money for it personally. So I said, well, what if our team pools our money together and we do it as a team? And I was driving around. When I got home, I sent out an email to our team members, and I said, guys, let's do a co-op. And what happened was totally surprising to me. That very first co-op, I believe we created a fund of about $3,400 or so dollars, and we just went to town. All the things that I wanted to do, we did. And we placed tons of ads in places like the directory of eZines. I expanded and created a new pay-per-click account for our team. We had articles written and distributed for our team. You know, anything I could do, I tried to do with our team co-op. So let me tell you how to set up a team co-op just real quick. I think it's something that you should use too, even if you've only got one person. In fact, I think it was a mistake for myself not to create a co-op for my team sooner. So there's really only two tools you need to start a co-op. Number one, you need a PayPal account. As you can see here, this is a PayPal account. And the reason you need a PayPal account, if you don't know, is so you could collect money. At the end of the co-op emails that I sent out, hey guys, we're having a co-op, I said, send your money to whatever my email address was at that time and your link for your business. And so that's how we collected money. Very simple, using PayPal. The other thing you need to do a co-op is a URL rotator. This is a URL rotator that we used. It's a website called Page Swirl. And what I did basically, and what this tool does, it allows you to divvy up traffic to everyone that you want to give traffic to. So, and use only one link when you're advertising. So what we did was we loaded everyone's URL into this URL rotator. I used the main link, and everybody got traffic from what we did. The other thing I did, and I didn't pull it up here, but I'll pull it up now, is I started to really track everything that I did. especially when it wasn't my money on the line. It was our team's money on the line. I was really like nervous about making bad moves with other people's money. So I use this tool right here called AdMinder to track all of my ads. In fact, let's go back and let's see if I can log in here, because this will be pretty interesting. Don't even remember my login. Let's try a different one. Okay, let's go back. Give me 1 second here, guys. As I said, this isn't scripted, so this is off the cuff. Okay, let's see if this one works. Yeah, there we go. And as you can see here, there's a lot of different ads that I placed, and these are, so you can see I've been around the net. I know a lot of what's going on out there. But the way that I coded these ads was per the co-op that we did. So in these different ad groups, you can see we did about 9 co-ops using this one. Then we moved over to a different tracking system. But let's go to co-op number 2. You can see these are the different newsletter ads that we placed advertisements in. And each month I just created a new group to track all our ads. You can see we did a ton more the third time we did a co-op. In fact, by the time we did about our 5th or 6th co-op, each time we did it, we had about a $10,000 or more fund to work with. So talk about guaranteed that your downline is going to grow. When you got $10,000 to put out there to advertise with, your downline's definitely growing. So that's one of the main drivers of success that we use, was a team co-op. What also happened is, in that time period, another thing that we did is I started to teach some of my leaders how to create a co-op. And so they started doing their own co-ops. And so I didn't have to do all the load, and they did some of it themselves. And that created additional momentum in the team. At the time, lots of people were joining the business. Let's say the 4th or 5th month, there were 300, 400, 500 people in the team. It really got too big for me to do all the training myself, and a blog really wasn't enough. So what I did was, again, around work, I would wake up early in the morning, and I created a team distributor guide. So let's go back. I created a team distributor guide, and all I did was write all the things that we were doing as a team down in this guide. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, it was finished. I just turned it into a PDF document. Everyone that joined our team got this team training guide. Here's why this was powerful. Because everyone new coming into your business doesn't know everything about the business. So for you as the trainer to that person, you create a team distributor guide and you give it to them. They've got a guide to get started with. And it now let me say, okay, guys, okay, new team member, Joe, John, Mary, here's what we're doing that works. Go through it and pick out the thing you want to start with, and that's where we'll start. And that's how we did it. And that's what I instructed all of our new team members to do. Look, you don't have to train your new team members on every single thing that you do in your business. Give them the team distributor guide and let them come back to you and start with the thing that either, number one, they want to get started with, or number two, the way you found them. And that gave people a lot of confidence. The other thing we started to do was on Saturdays, we had a worldwide team. On Saturdays, what we did was we used online webinar software. It wasn't this one, but this is a good one. And we would have team meetings. And so we would all come together and we would talk about what was working and share strategies for success and things that weren't working. And it was a great way to find leaders. You really got to bring your people together when you're growing a team. So we had all this stuff growing, all this momentum. It was incredibly exciting. And one of my team members said, hey, Dagan, you know that distributor guide you created? It's great. You know what you should do? You should turn it into a product. And I did. I didn't know how to write copy. I didn't know how to write sales letters. I didn't know how to do anything like that. So I took my profits that I was making for my business and I paid a copywriter to do it. And that's how my first product, Internet MLM Success, was born. Now, what was cool about that was now I had my own funded source for going out and generating traffic. I'll tell you one of the most exciting days of my life was the day that I had my first sale for that particular product. Some guy out there that didn't know me gave me $97 to learn how we were growing our team without picking up the phone. And from there it was on. What I did next was I created another another info product. It was called Net MLM Profits, and I gave that away to our team members to use in the same way that that I was using Internet MLM Success. They could sell it out there on the internet, recoup their money, and recruit people into their business using that I'm very excited, using that info product. And I had people coming back to me, just like in the co-op. When we did our first co-op, I had people coming back to me saying, whoa, Dagan, I had 7 people join my business. That was one of the coolest things that happened, because I remember I was paying $500 a month on leads and nothing happened month after month. But here, I started this little thing called a co-op, and some guy came back to me and said, Dagan, for $80, that was our share price, 7 people joined my business. I mean, there's no better sense of satisfaction than that. But same thing happened when I created this funded proposal for my team. I had guys that were coming back saying, Dagan, this first month I made $527. This is great. And they were recruiting people in the process as well. Everything was growing. And that's pretty much how it happened. A lot more happened afterwards, but that's what created the momentum. Trying things, teaching what you knew, creating new systems to help people like co-ops and team trainings, and using a blog to centralize what our team was doing, finding leaders, teaching them the best of this stuff, and watching them flourish and recruit hundreds of people themselves. And that's how it was done. I mean, there's not time in this video to go through and teach every single strategy that we used, but there's no more magic than what I just showed you. Growing an online home business isn't something that happens to the lucky or to the people that are incredibly talented. It happens to the person that sees the opportunity and latches on and just goes for it. That's all I did. And so in this maximum leverage training series, what I'm trying to give you is the tools, the opportunity to go out there and change your business. Make sure you use everything that you learn here. If you like this video, let me know what you liked about it. That's it for this little field trip. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.